watch as trains and cars collide. So Metro preaches safety.
Dad, stop! The sign says no left turn!
On your dime, more than $600,000 in TV safety ads in just 2 months.
I don't do rail. I only do buses. I can't speak for rail.
And Metro's been running buses for years.
Do we operate a safe bus system? The answer to that is yes.
They just don't meet par, in my opinion, for really operating a fleet of any kind, much less a public transit system.
That shocker from a veteran transit expert hired by 13 Undercover to look at Metro's maintenance records for us.
It is dangerous.
Take the brakes on Metro buses. They're supposed to be tested every 6,000 miles to make sure they stop right.
I've been on buses where the brakes, be grinding like they need some work on them.
The brake efficiency should be 65%. Metro puts it in writing. All brakes should exceed this minimum standard.
I shouldn't have to worry. All of them should know that that standard is 65%.
Bus rider LaShonda Francis is worried.
I just got off a bus where I noticed that their brakes weren't working that well. He was like trying to stop the bus, but the bus just kept rolling.
Look at the tests on bus 3281. The pressure reads 56%. The mechanic notes the brakes are slack. 4 months later, the brakes are slack again, but the bus is still sent out. The next month, brake pressure is as low as 50%.
It shouldn't have went out if it was below 65%.
Bus 2585 was tested January 7th. The brake pressure readings are reported as low as 44%. Yet the foreman doesn't mention the low pressure. 3 months later, the bus pressure is still reported below 50%. In June, it's too wet to check the brakes, but the mechanic again reports slack brakes.
Very disappointed, very disappointed.
Drive a vehicle at 20 miles an hour.
We looked at the required brake tests on bus 1496. On all 3 tests at 20 miles per hour, the bus took 19 feet to stop. The brake pressure an identical 70%, far above state law. But then we noticed the exact same pressure written down on another bus, and another, on lots of buses.
That would just be highly unusual for any vehicle of any kind.
And all the numbers were entered by the very same mechanic.
I don't think it's possible.
But he said he was rounding up, and I told him we don't round up. We put what's on the brake meter exactly.
These brake machines are supposed to be calibrated for accuracy every 2 years. Take a close look at the date on this receipt, March 2000. It says the brake meter is to be retested in January of 2002. The receipt was attached to a brake test done on a Metro bus in July of 2004.
It makes me wonder why an expiration date of 2000 would not have been noticed before 2004.
And it was only noticed by us, not by anyone in Metro's chain of command.
It says they can't be trusted, cannot be trusted.
Metro has 45 brake testers at its bus facilities. The transit agency could not provide records proving more than half of them were even accurate.
We did not track them like we should have.
That means the brakes on some buses may not be as good as they tested.
Yeah, the bus might run, but should it be used? No.
It means brake tests on buses involved in accidents could also be wrong.
We have not had any serious accidents, from what I'm told, as a result of brake failure.
But Metro won't share most of their recent accident tests, citing litigation. Metro policy requires the bus facility boss to initial the preventive maintenance inspections for accuracy and completeness. But look, it's blank. Virtually all of them are.
I found some that were blank. And we're shoring that up too. We can't have a good safety record and have an unsafe bus.
Makes me feel unsafe, really.
Dave and Gina, new evidence tonight that Metro has been breaking promises, sending out buses that should have had brake jobs. Buses that likely had broken speedometers, even broken horns. It's 5:39 a.m. Do you know where your undercover unit is? We're in the woods, watching Metro drivers do their required pre-trip inspection.
It's a walk-around inspection, both inside and outside the vehicle, to detect to make sure that the bus is fit for, to be taken off the property.
The drivers are paid for the 13-minute inspection. After all, there's more than 50 things to check. A lot of the stuff to make sure the bus is safe.
We have facility people that are on the yard to monitor the pre-trip inspections.
So let's watch. This driver walks into his bus for less than 2 minutes. He has a brief chat outside, then back inside he adjusts the mirrors and drives away. 6 minutes, including the chat. He doesn't even check to see if his windshield wipers work, and it was starting to rain. Engineer George Tier is a transit expert hired by 13 Undercover.
Driving off in the rain without checking the wipers, I mean, I'd turn the wipers on before I'd drive off in the rain.
This driver was done in less than 5 minutes.
Well, some bus operators are able to do their pre-trip inspection faster than others, especially if they're veterans.
Maybe that explains how this driver could check the condition of the tires on the other side of his bus when he only walked down one side. This driver didn't even walk around the bus before he drove this nearly 19-ton machine into morning rush hour. Now listen closely. Do you hear horns? We rarely did, even though checking the horn is part of the required check.
If they're not honking the horn on the yard, they ought to be honking the horn on the yard, and that's a fairly easy thing to check.
Here's evidence of the potential danger. Metro's own maintenance records show some buses checked after their routes had broken horns, even broken speedometers.
Well, they should be concerned about the safety of how the buses are maintained.
If we can improve those things, we absolutely should. But these are not causing accidents.
It's shot from a distance, but look carefully at the center of your TV screen. The drivers drop off their pre-trip inspections in a box at the front gate. No one else even checks it before the bus is already on the streets. Look what was said about one bus leaving last June. Another piece of junk.
That's just someone's opinion.
Yeah, the guy driving the bus.
I would have a hard time with that one. That's just probably one of our older buses, and they gave us a comment like that. But our bus fleet's actually in very good condition.
These airbags go on the bottom of Metro buses. They're not the kind that blow up in a rack, but they keep the ride smooth. Would they dry rot up here?
Just because they dry rotted doesn't mean they're leaking.
Look at bus 4150. The maintenance record in December '03 shows the left airbag has a tear in it. 5 months later, the mechanic reports, quote, dry and cracked airbags at rear. 2 months later, all 4 airbags at rear are dry and cracked.
If you don't maintain your airbags, you're going to shorten that lifespan on everything on the bus.
Metro had allowed the emission sticker to expire months earlier. The driver's PA mic was left broken for months too. Last night, we proved Metro sent out buses with brakes that failed their own written standards. Brakes left unrepaired by foremen despite warnings from mechanics.
So I believe the foreman is making a good, safe call.
Overruling such a repair is not right.
Look at Metro Bus 4042, February 2004. Check for brakes pulling left. 22 days later, a mechanic reports rear needs brake job. 10 days. He even underlines the news. What happens 10 days later? Nothing.
It should have been reviewed on that date.
If it wasn't?
It should have been.
Metro's own maintenance records show a brake job isn't done for nearly 2 months. And the complaints of pulling brakes continue. April 12th, June 23rd, July 29th.
We want you to look at us. We expect to be scrutinized.
Next week, our investigation continues. Our downtown workers being put at risk. We'll put our hidden cameras and our radar back in action. Wayne Dolcefino, 13 Undercover. Dave and Gina, Metro has promised an internal audit to fix some of the maintenance problems we found. Problems with brakes, horns, speedometers. But how do you fix a broken heart? death downtown. A Metro bus runs down 47-year-old Carol Donnelly.
It's scary. It really is scary. You take your life in your hands.
A broken crosswalk light gets the most attention. But workers warn of the dangers of 19-ton Metro buses downtown.
Somebody's got to be watching out for the people that work downtown.
1 to 5 seconds and they took my husband away.
Just days earlier, Loanne Kao became a widow. Another Metro bus. Her 31-year-old husband, Jeffrey, dead.
I would give everything that I have to bring my husband back, and you can't.
Metro gave us this safety video to help prove they had stepped up pedestrian safety training since then.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
First, the music.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
This one particular video is supposed to prevent death.
And a Happy New Year.
Future accidents. It's not a celebratory video.
This video was made for drivers.
You have proven once again that Metro is the best when it comes to safety in the transportation industry.
2 deaths in 1 month, right around Christmas, is not a good year.
In most cases, what happens when a bus and a pedestrian occupy the same space at the same time? Anybody can answer that the pedestrian will lose.
Pedestrians do not walk into buses. Buses hit pedestrians.
Now listen to the safety rules spelled out for Metro drivers driving downtown.
If you see someone on the curb, tap your horn, make sure they see you. That goes for any turn you make.
If they see that the pedestrians are looking towards the bus, then they're not near as concerned about it. And if they're seeing a pedestrian, let's say, that's looking down and looks like they're about to step out.
That's me on the corner of McKinney and Louisiana, cell phone in hand, already entering the crosswalk.
The bus operator is already seeing the person coming out in the crosswalk, and they're going to yield to that pedestrian so that they would stop.
Here comes the bus. Do you see it stop? Do you hear a horn? We tried it 7 times, never a horn.
The honking at every corner, we've been advised, is not a good safety practice anyhow, so that needs to be updated.
All turns should be done at no more than 3 to 5 miles per hour, with your foot covering the brake pedal and not on the accelerator. You should never make a turn while accelerating.
You can hear that safety rule being broken.
They run lights, they cut me off in my car.
We have street supervisors and safety personnel that are actually out on the street to monitor them downtown.
Every day?
Every day.
We'll use our radar to show 60-foot-long buses speeding in the middle of downtown. The speed limit is 30.
Life isn't valued. People should not worry about their families working downtown, crossing the street to go home at night.
We obviously teach our bus operators not to run lights, and we monitor it daily.
Watch this bus going down Fannin. What color is that light?
If we had a lot of people running red lights or driving unsafely, you would find more accidents. That's my feeling.
You think most people run red lights?
Don't you? Don't you see it? This is cowboy driving.
Do you think Metro has been breaking its promise?
Yes, every day.
Tomorrow, putting a price on a human life. Is Metro breaking promises to those who died? That's tomorrow night at 10. Wayne Dolcefino, 13, Undercover. The buses may say Metro on them, but a lot of them are really maintained and driven by a private company called First Transit. Tonight, new evidence Metro has been breaking promises to watch them more closely.
And it just went up in fire.
Remember this horror on Highway 290's HOV lane? A Metro bus rams into the rear of a car. It bursts into flames. Little 9-year-old Jennifer Rodriguez is trapped.
As soon as the fire hit her, she started crying, and we couldn't reach her. We couldn't reach her.
The charred bus may have said Metro, but it was driven by an employee of First Transit, a private company that runs Metro's Northwest facility. The company paid $10 million to settle the accident. There's no government caps for a private company. Metro promised greater scrutiny. They now have an on-site monitor at First Transit, and Metro's chairman says their accident rate is about as low as Metro's.
To me, that does not indicate that there's a systemic problem with First Transit.
But look what we saw, drivers ignoring the required safety inspections. This driver enters his bus, changes the route sign, and then drives off. No check of the horn, the wipers, or the lights. He didn't even walk around the bus to check the tires.
If they're still not properly monitoring 2 years or more after that settlement, that's troubling. That's very troubling.
3.5 years after this horrible accident, Metro says it does not have records detailing the discipline of First Transit drivers, and no records detailing how these buses are even maintained, buses you paid for.
I'm very surprised.
First Transit didn't return our phone calls. Tonight at 10, victims of Metro bus accidents claim the transit agency does not have the financial incentive to fix the safety problems we've uncovered. See you at 10. Wayne Deltrafino, 13, Undercover. The state puts a limit on what Metro has to pay in the wake of an accident, even deadly ones. Regardless of the facts, it's $100,000. The idea was to protect taxpayers. But does it allow Metro to break safety promises?
They took my mama's life.
Larissa Lindsay lost her mom. A Metro bus hit her jaywalking on Aldine Mail Route. Look how Metro records describe the accident. Pedestrian, run into bus.
Do you think you're a safe driver?
Metro won the case. A civil jury ruled driver Neville Levy was only 10% responsible. He testified safety was on his mind.
The jury has spoken, so...
I don't care about no money or nothing, because that's not going to bring my mama back. That still ain't going to fill this hole that I got in my heart.
The jury could not be told of his Metro driving record. Records show he had 21 accidents before that fatal wreck. More than at least 95% of Metro's drivers.
We wondered about that. Not necessarily the number of accidents that he's had, the number of accidents maybe that he might have caused.
But Levy's been a bus driver 22 years. That's a lot of miles.
If you've been driving at Metro for 20 years, that's the equivalent of driving your own personal record for about 45 to 50 years.
Levy had been disciplined 16 times since June of 1996, 6 times for excess or preventable accidents. An arbitrator overturned 2 of the reprimands. Metro's most recent annual review cites 3 complaints in 1 year and comments, quote, "Excellent job."
How in the hell you know my hurt?
Larissa Lindsay has seen the records too. There are motorist complaints about this bus driver. Look at this one, just 2 months before Patricia Lindsay was killed. This driver needs another job.
I don't think he should be still driving a bus. That's the bottom line with me.
But Metro drivers can have up to 3 preventable accidents a year before they're fired.
Children ride the buses. Everyone rides the buses. You know, it's just a necessity, but they should be protected.
A Metro bus killed Loan Keo's husband in a downtown crosswalk last year. Last month, driver Alroy Shepard was convicted of negligent homicide.
1 to 5 seconds and they took my husband away.
Metro told Keo's widow it made safety changes. All its drivers would be required to have yearly reviews to discuss safety, accidents, complaints. Metro has been breaking that promise too. We found out the Polk facility wasn't doing the reviews for years. That's 438 drivers, nearly a third of them. Metro says the superintendent there has been reprimanded.
The one entity that can prevent those accidents, there's no way to hold them accountable.
Metro has reportedly offered $100,000 to settle the KO incident. That's the most they have to offer. State law caps Metro's liability at $100,000.
$100,000 is minor to them. They're willing to write a check at a moment's notice to just close the file.
In recent days, we've exposed the questionable maintenance on Metro bus brakes. We've shown you buses driving on streets without the proper safety checks.
I can't figure out how to make changes so that other families don't have to suffer like this. And that's why I contacted you. I can't do it alone, and apparently Metro's not doing it on its own.
Next week, all new 13 Undercover Investigations. What would you think if the cop who gave you a speeding ticket got a prize for doing it? Prize Patrol. Next Tuesday on Eyewitness News at 10. Hope you have a safe holiday weekend. Wayne Dolcefino, 13 Undercover.